to the right places. Let's actually pull up LinkedIn. Actually, I can pull up LinkedIn from Restream, I think. Duplicate. I want to be able to make sure that I can share. Read only. Yeah. Back it up. And this should pop open LinkedIn.
It's hard to set this whole thing up.
No, it's actually not that hard at all.
Yeah.
So I use Restream. I usually talk about Restream because they sponsor me a little bit. How do I get to? There we go. I use Restream. They're the streaming service. I use Streamlabs OBS, which is the thing that you're seeing right now, and that streams to Streamlabs OBS. And it took me it takes a little bit of fiddling to get it right, but more or less it's pretty done for you. There we go. I'm live there. Perfect. So cool. Awesome possum. Yeah, we are live on LinkedIn as well. And just so I can share links in that little chat there. But cool. Awesome. So I'm Max. This is Brett. I'm actually going to pull your little thing over because nobody can see you. Now they can see you. I'm going to make it like this. I'm going to expand the heck out of you. Perfect. This is Brett Chang, and he's done a ton of stuff. I randomly came across, I was just telling Brett, I randomly came across him while I was scrolling through some little posts on Reddit about Notion, one of my favorite tools. And I saw his little personal page. He's started an investment fund. He's started a really impressive agency. And what's really interesting to me is he writes the 1 Week Startup, a little thing on Substack, another one of my favorite tools that kind of documents how to start small little online businesses in a really, really quick amount of time with very little cash, right? And that is exactly the kind of stuff that I love to talk about on Entrepreneur, so I figured it would be awesome to have you on the show, yeah. So
Yeah, thanks for having me, Max. Appreciate it.
absolutely, 100%. So we were just getting into, before I rudely interrupted by jumping on live stream, we were just talking about what I do, a little bit more about my background, because I haven't fully kind of explained to Brett. So this, I'm Max. I graduated about a year ago from Carnegie Mellon University. I live in Pittsburgh. Things are going well. Things in America are a little bit crazy right now. But I've been freelancing to sustain myself, mostly doing digital marketing and stuff like that, and building up Entrepreneur, and I've been doing that for about 2-ish years. I also run a little event group in town, and that was going great until COVID, and we'll see where that goes after COVID. But I run a bunch of tiny little projects here and there, trying to find something with traction to the point where I can jump into it full time. And Entrepreneur and my event group, Moss Generation, would probably be the most successful things that I've done thus far. But yeah, about 2 years ago, started both of those. Entrepreneur, I learned most of the stuff that I know about entrepreneurship. I'm no expert by any means, but I have started a bunch of different little things. And I realized that was the best education, just trying stuff, right? And then also talking to people that have done it before. So I started documenting that in a little video series on LinkedIn. And because LinkedIn is still pretty solid for organic engagement, and it's also a business-related kind of topic, I figured hey, this fits for this platform. Turns out it did. Got a bunch of followers. People think it's cool. And I have expanded thus far to live streams, because videos are really hard to produce, but live streams give me a lot more flexibility to build stuff. And so yeah, that is what I do.
Very cool. I love it. Thank you for the intro. That's super helpful. I was in Pittsburgh last summer.
Hey, that's
time.
super fun. Yeah. And so where do you live right now? You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, so I'm in Toronto, Canada. We drove. Actually, it wasn't the summer. I think about it. It was the fall. But we drove over there to see the Leafs play the Penguins. And so I'm in Toronto, Canada, and yeah, I don't know. I do a million different things, which isn't good. I wouldn't recommend that. And I'm trying to focus now, and so that's kind of my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I feel that. Yeah, I was actually on a podcast yesterday, one of my friends' little podcasts, and we were talking about exactly that. I only recently, I wouldn't even say I've gotten out of it, but only recently have I started to realize okay, I probably shouldn't try to jump into something new right now, because I need to focus on something that I've been building for a month, and try to get that to traction, or see whether or not it has traction before I dump it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I was doing the exact same thing. So I guess it was 2 weekends ago, I sat down and I was like, I'm going to build this new no code idea I had. So I get on Webflow and I start building it out. And then, halfway through building it, I was just like, I just stopped and I was like, I probably shouldn't do this. I've got other things that are going well that I should be focusing on. This is a distraction. This time that I spent doing this new idea I had, I could have spent actually, working on stuff that's working and getting traction. And so I just put that aside and I started to spend my energy on what's actually making a difference.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I thank you. Aswin was just bugging me because I put the volume down low that was my bad because on weekends I do little video game streams, and if I don't dump the audio super low, the background music is all crappy. So you were coming off low for a second, but you're good now. So no, yeah, I super get that. I had this issue when I first started kind of messing around, and messing around is a very, very loose term because I was trying to start an affiliate site with somebody, an affiliate marketing site, and I learned how affiliate marketing worked. I was trying to start a blog with some of my friends. I was trying to post on LinkedIn consistently. I was not being consistent. I was trying to start another little personal website in order for info purposes. I was trying to do a ton of different things, and I was trying to build the event group in Pittsburgh. This was one summer when I just realized hey, I can do things, right? I don't have to just talk to people. I can actually build something really, really easily. It's not that hard. And I never got anything done because I was trying to do 6 different things at once. And I never focused on anything. And I've since gone back to a lot of those projects once I've had more time, once I can focus, but it's so difficult because I have such a low attention span. So the thing that I like about no code is even with my low attention span, if I have an idea, I can genuinely whip it up in less than a week, right? And then publish it on Product Hunt or push it out to my audience and see if it has some degree of traction before I decide to move on to something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really glad that you use no code tools as well. I was reading a few little bits of your newsletter, and it's awesome because you are very deep into the no code space as well. It allows so much flexibility in terms of whipping up a prototype.
Totally. And it's funny, I think I first heard about Webflow maybe 5 years ago.
Really?
A long time ago.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. And I didn't take it seriously though. So I knew a guy, actually I was working with a guy at this agency that I started who was using it for everything. And I tried to learn it and I just didn't put enough time or effort into it. And so, the thing about Webflow is that it's easy to use once you learn how to use it.
Yes,
but there is a barrier to entry.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a learning curve for sure. And so, you really do need to spend some time. And so recently, about 2 weeks ago, I was listening to this podcast with Andrew Wilkinson.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
I follow him on Twitter. He's one of the 2 people I follow on Twitter.
Yeah, great guy. Really smart, has some great insights. And he was talking about no code, and I thought, well, I'm going to give it another shot. I just spent an entire day going through all of the Webflow introductory videos.
Yep.
And then if you go out there and you just start replicating websites, you can learn it pretty quickly. And it only takes a few days until you're proficient enough that you can at least replicate sites fairly easily. Now, I think what I still struggle with is I just can't, I can't conceptually design and come up with my own site myself. I have to kind of take elements from different ones. And I think that's natural. But look, there are designers out there that do an amazing job at just coming out with sites out of thin air. And I just can't do that yet. But it's something I'm working towards. And yeah, no code I think is great. For the first time in, at least my lifetime, I feel like I have the ability to make a software product and build a software business, which is obviously the best possible business because it's hyper scalable. So it's pretty empowering. And I agree with you that once you kind of figure that out, you have a million ideas of things you want to build, and you really can't operate that way. You have to pick something, see if it works, and then kind of, if you find something that does work, really focus on that and build it out.
Yep, I agree completely. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. I just if you're looking into no code more, have you seen makerpad.co? I'm assuming you've dug into that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how that's a big reason that was a big help in my learning. I went through the how to create a job board series of videos, and I just replicated that, and that was super helpful. And just kind of, I think being able to see, and this is part of the inspiration for this newsletter I do is I wanted to go step by step through the entire process, and I find that really for me clarifies exactly what you need to do, and that's how I learn, and so I think that's how other people learn as well, and so that's kind of what I tried to do in the newsletter.
Yeah, no, totally, I totally agree. And so how long have you? So just a little bit more on 1 Week Startup. So you write this publication on Substack. I love Substack. I have my own Substack newsletter. I use it to as like a subscriber base for my live streams. It's super easy to set up. It's a beautiful little tool. But how long have you been writing this? Because I remember I was scrolling back and trying to find how long you've been writing about this. Like, how long has this been kind of a project to document this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I guess it was about the start of quarantine, so late March, so not too long.
Okay.
And, I just thought to myself, I think the interesting thing about quarantine is that it forces you to rethink a lot of things, especially for me. I was going through a bit of a transition time myself, and I thought, what are the things that I could produce that would create some type of value that I could kind of stick with and build out? And this is one of the ideas I had among many others. And so I started doing this. I sat down and I came up with a bunch of ideas, and I started writing writing about them, but also, building them myself, going through each step of the process, and then documenting that. And so initially it started with me just sharing that with my friends. It's grown a bit, not huge, but got a bit of a list, and yeah, that was my primary purpose. It's funny. It's one of those things where I wanted to build an audience. I have no real vision as to how I'm going to monetize it or build business out of it. Just something I was doing for the hell of it.
Yeah, no, totally. That's awesome. That's super, super fun. And like, I totally support that more than anything else. One of the things that I talk about a lot here is like the entrepreneurship online is really, really muddled, and there's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of just bullshit about like how it functions, why you should get into it, the people that are in it. It's this very like, it's not even, there's nothing better about it than getting a corporate job. There's nothing better about it than doing freelance. It's just like there's this elitist kind of society on the internet, perpetuated by a few like bad apples, I think, that just have large audiences around like entrepreneurship is like the way you get rich, and you should be in it if you're a hustler and blah 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 blah. But like some of my favorite people and some of the happiest people that I know use like they have like a job, they have a corporate job, they do whatever they want. Like their career isn't necessarily important, but they do like a side project just for fun. Like, right, like there is the entrepreneurship for fun is completely ignored, I think, on the internet, everywhere, just because it's considered like work. I don't know, and maybe that's like a perspective that's different for me because I came from a different background, but like I know a ton of people that are unbelievably happy. Just like, I have a personal blog. It's not going to be monetized anytime soon, but I have a small audience of people that I can talk to about something that I'm unbelievably passionate about, and I get to help people, right? Like like something small like that is has been really, really impactful, and I want to try to promote entrepreneurship for fun more.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, and I think you appreciate this, but building out an audience is incredibly valuable.
Unbelievably
And
so.
it might not be immediately valuable to you because you might not be selling something today, but even with this newsletter, I people reach out to me about it, and they say, I like what you're doing, would love to work with you on something, and it really does open up other opportunities. It's impossible to see what those opportunities might be unless you actually go out there and do it.
Yep.
And so, if you think that you are creating something, or you can create something that has some type of value for someone, I would say just do it. Get out there, publish your thoughts, write, do whatever you can, because I do think that that's what ultimately opens doors.
I agree completely, 100%. Yeah. In terms of that, yeah. So one of the things that I've kind of been discussing with myself and on live stream, it's super cool to hear that you've been writing all of this for a good bit of time. It seems like you've got like a good chunk of readers, and it's awesome to expand something like that. It gets really fun. But a few like I've been like dealing with a little list, and again, like I'm not super experienced. I've just messed with a few different little things here and there, and I know what's easy and what's not. I think you've gone a little bit further, and you have a bit more experience on what is quick to start. Like for instance, I was reading your ebook guide recently, a couple days ago, and I was going through that, and it like I didn't, until I read that, I always thought, because I've interviewed some people that have written ebooks, they run businesses off of just an ebook that's their full-time income. And their perspective was like, it took them like a few months to write an ebook, right? It took them a few months to construct something that was really like big and chunky and valuable, and like had a lot to talk about in it. But your perspective was just like, you can write it in 3 days if you really pump through it, right? Yes, that's hard. Writing is difficult. It's one of the weirdest mediums. I don't understand why it's just so difficult to get things onto the page in a readable way. It's not easy by any means, but it doesn't take a ton of time. And I always thought that ebooks had to be much, much larger. But regardless, like the current little list that I was working with, there's a few little more bits in here. It was like, if you want to start something like literally now, like you can start this in a day or 2 days. My list was, there's a few more to add to it, but was you can start a blog unbelievably quickly. You can start a newsletter unbelievably quickly. Blogs, you could use something like Blogger or like Wix or Webflow if you know how to use Webflow. And there's a few other little tools there. Newsletters, Substack works amazing. It's super, super easy to use. Ecom, I've used Webflow. You can also use Shopify. Works off of templates. Online groups like Slack or Discord. Small apps, you can use Bubble. Event groups, you can use things like Meetup or Eventbrite, things like that. Like it's really, really easy to prototype these things with existing tools, right? Like unbelievably easy. Like takes you very little time. Just figure out a basic little tool and you're good. I would love to expand on this list because I want to like do a ton of these constantly, all like every single week, and document that on my live stream. So ebook is now added to that because if I can write an ebook in 2 or 3 days and really just block off some time, then that means like that's something that's sustainable for me to do in a week and test, right? And that was really, really exciting to see because I thought that took months and it was inaccessible. Is there anything else that you would recommend that I look into? Because you've documented a bit more. Online courses are another big one because those aren't that difficult. If you have
look, I think that's a good list there. The bigger question is, what you focus on or what communities or niches that you focus on with each of those, right? And that I think can really, at least in my experience, talk about a recent example of mine, but for me, if you find the right niche and the right community and you provide the right value or the tools that they want, the testing and the growth of that product is incredible. Yeah. And this is something that I've kind of realized even with 1 Week Startup is I spent a lot of time writing this content and I spent a lot of time promoting this content, and to find growth channels that would help me, get to the exponential growth that I wanted to build my audience, very challenging. Yeah. And, my diagnosis of it was, 1, I hadn't found the right channel yet. 2, perhaps the niche was too big. On the flip side, I started this thing called Notion Expert, which was a no-code tool that I built. And the speed to acquisition was far quicker than 1 Week Startup. And I thought that was interesting. And the only kind of real reason is that there's a passionate community of people who really want that type of content. And so if you can find that audience, then, all of these things you can grow super quickly.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So you and I agree with that. That does make sense. I tend to get ahead of myself when it comes to the prototyping and the necessity of actually building the thing. If you do find like a need, right? If you find a community that maybe lacks connection or a community or an audience that needs something fixed, needs some information, needs a tool to complete a certain process, whatever it is, if you can do that, then of course the growth is going to be a lot more sufficient. You are going to get feedback on everything that you're doing because people are going to be engaged, and that helps you actually make a great product or a great tool. So I agree completely. Yeah. In terms of customer discovery, right? In terms of like finding that niche, in terms of finding that, and this is very broad. This is very difficult to answer on a broad level. But like in terms of finding that niche, what would you recommend to people? How do you identify this is a problem, or this is a community that I can serve, or this is a individual that needs help, right? That I can fix.
Yeah, I'm gonna really focus on I will say my whole philosophy has been changed recently around this because of this Notion experience. So the Notion community is perfect, and it's perfect for a bunch of reasons. One, it's a tool and a product that people love. They're truly passionate about Notion. They use it for all aspects of their life. They use it for notes, for productivity, for websites. It's so versatile, and I think you could argue the same thing for any platform. So Shopify is the one that kind of comes to mind for me. And I'm in Toronto, I'm down the street from their office. And so I saw the Shopify experience, and, there is a passionate community around that of people who found a lot of value in the platform, and they were looking for new ways to use the platform and new tools around it. And there was a whole ecosystem there. And so, one, I think if you can find a product or a service or a community that is, that loves something, that is a good place to start, that's engaged about it, and to do that is pretty straightforward. You look at the Facebook groups and you look at Reddit and you try to find communities that are above 10,000 people that have very active discussions around different updates to a product or something happening in a community or whatever it might be. That's a really good sign. Two, I think that you have to find something that hasn't gone too mainstream yet. And so, I'll kind of counter the Notion experience with an experience with 1 Week Startup, which is I kind of went after the passive income remote work crowd. That is a mainstream thing now. Yeah. There's a million different resources to service that community. They have everything that they need. But then on the other hand, I can also see why something like Nomad List, which is this platform that helps you find places that you can work around the world, I can see why that did so well. Just like Notion Expert did well, is because it added a really kind of, it added a lot of value to a community that was not mainstream enough at that point, did not have a lot of resources available to them. And so people got really excited about that product, right? And so, I think those are the two kind of examples I use where, these guys found a community that was super passionate, that they thought they could build a tool that added a lot of value, and they did, and it blew up. And I kind of did the same thing in Notion. It's not obviously the same scale as Nomad List, but again, I find that the kind of acceleration from zero to growth was a lot quicker than something like 1 Week Startup. And so those are the kind of two features I'd look for: is one, a community that's passionate and engaged, and you can find online channels; two, not too mainstream yet; and three, where you think you can add value. I think that's the recipe.
Okay, awesome. That's really, really cool. Yeah, and I like the little starting kind of bits of like, okay, you find a community, this exists, this is a thing. You base it off of existing platforms. That's perfect. I really like that too. And then you go on places like Reddit and Facebook groups, and you find like groups of thousands and thousands that are engaged, consistently posting, blogs, things like that, or other newsletters, and you just scope those out and see what they're talking about. And see if there's a regular issue, and if you can solve that. I liked it a lot. So you were the one that started Notion Expert? This is you? Or
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. Wow. And so this is a blog/newsletter, just kind of documenting what's going on in the Notion community. Chili Pepper. I saw Chili Pepper on Product Hunt a little while ago. So you kind of just keep up to date on what's going on with new Notion updates or Notion-based products?
Yeah, it's exactly it. And, cool. Like I said, I think that my vision with Notion, and I don't know if this is going to be true, but at least this is what I see, is it's going to be a lot like Shopify, where, you have a platform that you can do so much on, that the companies around that platform, so people who are making apps for it, people who are making templates, people who are experts on it, who can do consulting, they will all do well. It's kind of a rising tide lifts all boats situation. Mm-hmm. And, if I look at Notion and how much money they've raised and how much they'll invest in consumer acquisition, how they made paid plans now free, that I really do think that they're going to see hyper growth. And I love the platform personally as well. And so I have confidence that they're going to see hyper growth, and I want to be along for that ride. Totally. And this was the initial product that I created for that. And then, prior to, in that 1 Week Startup I wrote about online courses, I made a course on Notion. And originally I made that course paid, but I actually just released it free. And you can see on the top, there's courses, but I released it free a few days ago. I posted it on Reddit, and I posted it on the Facebook group, and I got 500 students in 48 hours. That's amazing. So 500 emails in 48 hours. And this is what I'm talking about, which is the velocity. If you can find these communities and actually build products that add value to them, the velocity is incredible.
That's so cool. Oh my God. Okay. Awesome. And in terms of this, like, what did you set this up on? What have you used to kind of build this tool out? It looks.
Yes, this is Thinkific, which I like because unlike the other course tools, Thinkific lets you there's a free plan that lets you get started. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to get some of the more advanced features, then you have to pay. And so I paid today actually, because I sent out our Notion Expert newsletter, but to export all my emails from students, I had to pay. And so I paid. But it was good until then, because I could see if it worked. And if it worked, I could pay then, and then it's worth it.
And interesting. It just lets you embed it in a website. Okay, cool.
No, I just linked to, that's a separate landing page.
This is Thinkific. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Very, very cool. Okay, cool. And so Notion Expert is just... Yeah. Okay.
Not ideal. Awesome. I'd rather have it embedded, but it's a bit complicated.
Whatever works. Yeah. No. Okay. Cool. And the rest of it's built on Webflow.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's so flippin' cool. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Want to add a resource? Submit a resource. This is so. It's just a simple little. The community needs to know what's going on. This is great. This is so cool. Yeah, and I was actually fascinated because Notion is a perfect example. Because I was looking into Notion, like Notion tools, and there's like these little like accelerators or groups. Like the Potion Shop is a perfect example, and there was another one. Oh, I can't remember. Notion Charts was another little thing. There's a few of these little things like the Potion Shop. I discovered like 3 different ones where they're like little collections of like, hey, we just build Notion apps for fun, right?
Yeah.
Like flip it, right? Like that's just what we do. That's what we have fun doing. And I'm like, that how on earth can a platform be so awesome? Like I love Notion that much. I agree. I understand why people build stuff on it, but it's just fascinating how they've built such a dedicated developer community that just wants to, like, they understand. They're like, hey, this will probably get replaced by Notion at some point. We don't care. We just want this to be out there, right? That's a perfect example of a really hyper aggressive, growing, excited community. Yeah.
And it's all very hacked together right now, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, it's like they're all workarounds that people are building out. Once they provide API access and you can actually build applications for Notion, that's when I really see this exploding.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Interesting. And you think they'll absolutely do that? You think that's absolutely a plan in the roadmap?
It's, if you go on the website, it says coming soon API access.
Dope.
So
Perfect.
yeah, that's the idea. And so yeah, that's kind of what I'm racing towards now is, you know, how do I position Notion Expert to be kind of a central source for those applications, right?
That's
and then
really cool.
you know, from that there's a million different revenue streams you can do, right? You can do courses, consulting, you can do sponsorship for your emails, sponsorship for the website. You know, there's a bunch of opportunities.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Actually, interestingly enough, speaking of Notion, and sponsorship, I'm still relatively small, right? I have like around 8,000 followers on LinkedIn. The algorithm's a little bit messy right now.
Pretty good.
It's doing decent. I've been doing it for 2 years, and it's grown consistently. I think I'm getting like 30 or 40 followers per week, consistently. So it's going well. I will not discount. Things are going awesome. I'm by no means a huge influencer in the no code or entrepreneurship space, but I'm doing decent on LinkedIn. But I on my live stream, I can show you, where is it? Go over here as a little thing that I have. Ba-boom. And so up there I usually say like sponsored by Restream, and I'm a little aggressive about it, but they're a little tool that I use to live stream, and they sponsored me, and it's been really, really awesome. And actually since then I realized that, okay, maybe this is a potential revenue stream for me to monetize Entrepreneur. I've seen some pushback on that. Some people think it's a bad idea, some people think it's a great idea. It all depends, but I figured why not test it. I'm already doing the live stream. Doesn't take that long to send a few emails, and Notion is one of the people that I would like love to like potentially be sponsored by at some point in the future. Have you seen them doing anything like that? Do you think that's wise? Because I was connecting with some of their marketing people on LinkedIn just to bug them.
Yeah, look, I haven't seen anything like that, but they're really good with the community.
Yeah, they do have like they have community like liaisons, and they host events. It's really cool.
Yeah, they reached out to me cold, and they said, you know, you built this thing, people really like it, would love to chat. And so I got on the phone with them, which is great. Yeah, so they're really good about that, and I think to a degree that I haven't seen before from a software product. But again, you know, that's nice to have for them. But honestly, it's the product that I think drives the community. People just love the product, and I understand why. I use Notion all the time. I use Notion for everything now, and it's great.
Yeah, totally. So no, I'll bug them. But yeah, no, I think it's actually a really good practice to like host community events. And I don't know, I guess it depends on the product. Like Slack, I'd feel like Slack couldn't get away with, like, Slack is a very, very regularly used product, right? Yeah. Everybody uses Slack. A lot of people like Slack. Most people I know hate Slack. I think just because of the association with work and notifications and all that kind of stuff. I feel like Slack couldn't get away with something like building community events, right? And being like on that kind of public level, just because it's not as beloved a product. I don't know. It's weird, but I wish more companies could do that. There was another company that was doing similar situations like that. It wasn't Notion. LinkedIn does that kind of. LinkedIn is actually pretty good with that kind of thing. They have LinkedIn Live events. They have LinkedIn local hosts, and they try to host events and foster community. That's really cool. But I don't know. It's really, really awesome to see that Notion is just like, it's so people oriented in how it does things. Anyway, yeah, cool, awesome. And then was Nomad List also your thing, or?
No, that's huge, man. They did they did really well, but I now understand why they did so well. And I think if you understand how to tap into these communities and how to build products that add value. And you could build this whole thing in no code, right? Like it's not
No,
complicated.
this is
Like it's
this is
like
not
you could
complicated at
build this
all.
all in no code. Now, if you can do that and find a community that is passionate about it, you'll be able to make money off it no matter what, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Once you have a certain user base
And that's it.
around
Yeah,
something.
I really do buy into the idea that to do marketing now for these types of products, you have to build a media company, and your media company will then do the marketing for you. And
Interesting.
I think I've started companies before with no audience, right? Where you just start with nothing and you have to build that audience and you have to build a product at the same time, and you do both simultaneously. Really hard.
Yeah.
It is exponentially easier if you have an audience and then you sell something to that audience after you've built up trust with them, after they like your product, after they find value in you. If you then bring them something and say, hey, now I'm selling this, which I think meets your needs because of why, the interest in that product will be much higher. And so I think building an audience is the most important thing that anyone can do. And if you have any type of entrepreneurial ambition, build an audience either around your brand, build an audience around something, but that will come in handy.
I agree completely. Yeah, that's the first thing that I usually recommend to everybody that asks me, like, how do I get started as an entrepreneur? Like, well, that's a very broad question. First, you should find, like, the problem that you want to solve and the people that you want to help. But also, like, building an audience is always a great place to start. Literally,
Totally.
no matter what, it can't hurt you.
Totally.
Yeah, and it's not hard to start. Yeah. So, in terms of, like, audience building, you're using a newsletter, right? Have you built an audience in different places, maybe Twitter or any, like, social media kind of platform?
I thought the course went really well. So the course was great. I now that took me a week to build. It was actually a lot of work. So, coming up with the curriculum, building out the deck, doing all the tutorials, recording all the videos, editing all of it takes a long time. But once you do it, like now I could sell it. I am selling it. I sell it on Udemy. I sell it on Skillshare. It's okay. It doesn't do great, which is why I made it free. Because for me, the emails are far more valuable than the $150, $200 I'd make on it. On the other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So so I made it free. So that was great. I think that kind of stuff works really well. Any type of tool that you can create for a community that adds value, I think is a great acquisition channel. I'm doing now in this newsletter, I feature different kind of Notion experts. They share it with their audience. That helps me on Twitter. That helps me in subscriptions. So yeah, there's a number of different channels that you can come up with.
That's really, really cool. Yeah. Actually, just a piece of advice. I would love advice on this. So I produce relatively similar content to the kind of stuff that you do on 1 Week Startup. You talk about startups. I try to build stuff live, and we tried very similar things in order, like, in terms of, we want to educate on how easy this stuff can be with no-code tools, and we're in very similar spaces. My camera's glitching out a little bit. Hold on. Is this gonna? I don't want to kill it. I have been, quite honestly, struggling to come up with ideas on how to build a more consistent audience on either the live stream. The live stream is LinkedIn based. I need to update. I need to just post content on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to do that. But in terms of, I have a newsletter. Part of it is paid, part of it is not. The part that is just about my live streams is not paid. I try to keep the live streams as my main form of content. I publish them everywhere, and I try to be really aggressive with those. But they're a similar form of content. I would love your advice on, like, how to kind of grow the audience just in general. If you've experienced any little tricks or tips or advertising methods.
I don't know. Do you do a lot in Facebook groups?
No, I don't spend any time in Facebook groups.
Facebook groups are the best kept secret of growth marketing.
Interesting.
So so with 1 Week Startup, every time I publish it, I have a list of 100 different Facebook groups, maybe even more, that I have just joined and I just post. And the Facebook groups I focus on, and I think we have similar content, so I think it's the same kind of audiences. Yeah. But I would say, it's passive income, remote work, freelancing, like remote freelancing. These are the types of audiences that want the content that you and I produce. And so I really think that Facebook groups are a great channel. Okay. And I usually get 20, 30, 40 subscribers every time I post on that. And it just takes me maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. You could automate it if you wanted to. You could get, like a virtual assistant to do it. But it just takes like half an hour to do.
Interesting. Okay. I had no idea that those were that powerful. Yeah. Because I always thought that, like, my perspective on Facebook groups has always been like, hey, like, I'm just posting this little thing that I do. And everybody posts these little things that they do. And so usually Facebook groups like that become disengaged pretty quickly. I've had the idea of, like, finding things like Slack groups or LinkedIn groups are useless right now. Like little groups online and producing independent content, because I produce videos all goddamn day. And I'm super comfortable in front of the camera, and I can whip out a ton of these things. But producing, like, if I find like a really big group of like 10,000 people that are really engaged with this kind of thing, then posting a uniquely made video to that group and saying, hey, this is what I do, right? Just to kind of introduce myself. I've thought about doing things like that. I have not made any effort there, but it's really interesting to know that you've had so much success with Facebook groups. That's interesting. Okay. So remote work, passive income, freelancing. Okay.
This kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, you can kind of think through what they would be. Yeah, I really think that in terms of subscriber growth, and I agree with you that a lot of the content on these groups is trash, which is why if you produce good content that adds value, it actually does stand out, and you do get great engagement from it. Like, I think I got, when I first posted 1 week startup on 60, 70 Facebook groups, I must have doubled my subscribers in 24, 48 hours. Now, I didn't have a lot to begin with. I had, let's say 200, from 200 to 400 or whatever it was.
That's amazing.
It was pretty good. And I was just being honest. I said, hey, my name's Brett. I'm in quarantine. So I write these blog posts about how to help you kind of generate some type of alternative income stream. If you've lost your job, here's my Substack, and people subscribe.
That's awesome. Okay. Holy crap. I had no idea. That's a nice little, I have a giant, on my, to my right, I have this giant whiteboard full of like different ideas of how to advertise. Like, I want to write a Medium article, because Medium has really great SEO, and that's a really important thing for people to find you. Answer Quora questions, right? Because those are two little things that I recently learned, which is fascinating to me. Answer Quora questions around your kind of thing.
For
like,
SEO,
exactly, for SEO. So when anybody searches entrepreneurship newsletter or something along those lines, you start to pop up in those typical answers.
Do you just focus on no code, or do you do entrepreneurship generally?
I do entrepreneurship generally. I usually use no code to like create the products that I use to solve little things. And like, to be totally honest, like, I've only created like 4 or 5 little products. I've published like one little thing to Product Hunt. I'm going to be publishing another little thing. I've only just gotten really started building things consistently. It's taken me a while, but like, every week I do hop on and I have like aggressive discussion. Like, I've experimented with this. I've at least like fucked around in some way or another, and here's what I learned, right? Or I interviewed somebody in this space. Here's what they said. And I try to be really like informational, highly informational with everything I do. But I have only probably built like 4 or 5 things that have actually function and exist thus far. But I'm getting more consistent with that. But yes, entrepreneurship and no code generally, I would say.
I think the no code stuff is super exciting, and that is clearly a trend, right?
For sure,
and I think that's the great thing about, if you follow Product Hunt and you follow indie hackers or whatever, you can spot these trends. And my big thing is you got to ride them out. I've ridden trends. There are big trends and there are little trends. I think the little trends are almost better because you find that niche. The big trends also work too. For example, like I got on the cannabis trend here, but but I got in cannabis, the Canadian, like the Toronto cannabis trend, right? So you have to be kind of specific about it. But the no code stuff I see and I go, wow, like that really is taking off. And I think MakerPad does great and they do great content. Is there room for other MakerPads? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think there's lots of room for other types of people to teach people how to develop no code apps. And I think that really is the future. And so I can see these things doing really well.
Yeah. I agree completely. I think no code is, I don't know, like, I've experimented with no code. That's awesome. Things are going great there. I feel like I've had, I don't know, maybe I'm just not confident in it, but like the trend that I've been trying to jump on is pretty like broad. I'm trying to get into the university ecosystem. So I very like readily advertise. I teach entrepreneurship on a practical basis, on a small level, but a practical basis, right? Even if you are 15 in high school, you can learn the stuff that I'm teaching. It's not complicated by any means. You don't need to know any preliminary stuff or any tools. I'm going to show you right in front of you on my live stream it's on Twitch and YouTube, for God's sake, and like you can get started, right? And it's resonant. I've taught the same curriculum to middle schoolers, and it's worked, right?
Sure.
But so I'm trying to get in on and this is like a trend from what I've seen, the like entrepreneurship education trend, and that's like in university ecosystems, at least in America, things have been like on the up. Like for a while, I was seeing like every week I was seeing a new entrepreneurship center at a new university pop up, right? And curriculum was being more involved, and entrepreneurship professors were getting hired everywhere. It's interesting. So, and I would love to catch that trend, but the university ecosystem is also like really weird and non-profity and bureaucratic and funky and not startup-y at all. So it's, I don't know.
What would you want to do for them? Like, what would your play be?
My play would be that I want to help impact curriculum. Genuinely, I would love to I would love to be. I don't know if this is even a thing, but I would love to actually like go into universities and say like, hey, I can help you build curriculum that's accurate and really really easy and really really simple, and help supplement that curriculum because I put so much stuff online that you can start using my kind of stuff for examples or for workshops. I would just love to either speak more or impact curriculum directly in university ecosystems. That would be like a dream because I feel like I can reach the most amount, like the highest amount of like genuinely interested young entrepreneurs that way because that's where all of them end up mostly. So I don't know, but that's a trend. It's weird. I'm doing some little online speaking gigs at different universities here and there to classes, and that's awesome. But I just... Oof, it's definitely a trend. So I agree with hopping on the trends, but I think I might be tackling something that's a bit too like smushy or large scale right now. Yeah. Anyway, so I got a question. What if you hate writing? Would adding comments to somebody else's report repost work or even posting visuals? So what do you mean, Craft here? Do you mean like, so they're asking about Facebook groups because they're interested about Facebook groups. Paul also said Facebook groups are great. I'd be using Hackathon Hackers for meeting tons of coders. That's actually interesting. Hackathon Hackers would be other good groups, I think, for my kind of thing because I do ish mini hackathons every week where I try to build something. So that's a great point, Paul. Thank you. If you hate writing, would adding comments to somebody else's report repost work or even posting visuals?
If you hate writing, it's tough, right? Because it's a big part of it. Now, look, writing can be learned, and I don't think I'm a great writer by any means. I think I'm a okay writer. I'm always working to get better, and so I'm reading a lot about copywriting now. Like I'm actively trying to practice and become a better writer. But so one, take some time to learn that, just like you would learn how to do something in Webflow, or you would learn how to code something or design something. It is something you have to learn. And so I'd say, spend some time on it. But two, do videos. Can you talk, do podcasts? There's lots of ways to create content other than just writing.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And do you think that, so to answer your question, Craft here, visuals work great. Like absolutely. If you can write your own personal post, that's always going to be better because that personally promotes you, I think. But where's the best place to center your written articles? But to finish off on Craft here, I think yes, adding comments, that's always going to get you more engagement. That's probably just going to get you engagement on the platform though. So if you're posting comments, people are going to see you and they're going to follow your profile, right? That works on places like LinkedIn and places like Instagram and Facebook, right? If I'm on a popular post and I'm one of the top comments because I said something interesting, people are going to follow you, but they might not necessarily follow your stuff that you're promoting. And this is just, please feel free to dissent on anything I'm saying. But yeah, so, but I would, like, best thing is going to be like, make a video. Hey, this is me. I do this. Or like a written little article or a post. Hey, this is me. I do this. This is how you can sign up and get involved, right? Because it's hard to include like a sign up link to your main publication if you're just commenting. Best place to center your written articles, your own website or Medium only? So that's a great question. I'm not entirely sure, but what I've told everybody, like for articles, Medium is great for SEO in general. Actually, it's funny because CEO of MakerPad, the creator of MakerPad, what's his name?
Ben Tossell.
Ben, yes. I love Ben. So I interviewed Ben briefly. Really, really cool guy. He said that the way he started MakerPad actually was just, I posted a Medium article about like, hey, I know how to build a lot of stuff in no code. Would you be interested in, if you're interested in something that like teaches no code more in depth, you can sign up here. And they included a little embedded sign up link for MailChimp or something. And like, 800 people signed up, and it was insane.
Yeah.
Like, it was a great way to test. And Medium is really nice for stuff like that because it has really, really great base SEO from what I've seen. Like, if you are just posting an article and trying to drum up something, or it is a new thing and you want to quickly gain some SEO or quickly get some feedback on it, you post on Medium, because Medium has much, much quicker and really solid SEO when people are just typing into Google. But if you want like signups, or you want people to like know what you do, like get a more substantial kind of, if what you're building is a bit more substantial than just something that you can write in a Medium article, you want to post on your personal website, because the SEO is going to be long lasting and super important for your actual content mainly. So if you're starting, I would say Medium, and then after that, post on your blog. Does that kind of sound decent? I don't know. I need to experiment with Medium more.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like I kind of see it the other way. I see it where, you want to capture as much traffic as possible on your own site, because that's where they're going to subscribe to your newsletter or your email list or whatever, and you can have some type of conversion there. And I find Medium to be supplementary to that, where, Medium helps with the SEO. It's another audience and channel for you to get your message out in front of, but ultimately you'd like to link back to your own personal website. And, building a personal blog is actually not as easy as you might think. People use Squarespace, you can use Webflow, you can use WordPress, but it does usually cost some money and is not as easy as
No, for sure.
as it probably should be. There probably should be an easier way to do it.
Yeah. I've seen things like, and you can use like, I'm actually not sure. You can use Notion, like a little free Notion site like Fruition, if you wanted to build a really basic blog. I'm just worried about the SEO of that, because I feel like WordPress and Webflow have really, really solid SEO when it comes to the articles that you publish, and that's the most important thing, right? Most of your audience is going to be coming from SEO if you're writing a blog. So I feel like you should probably invest in something a little bit more substantial base-wise. But yeah, I don't know. And then there's things like Blogger, and there's like little free sites that you can create via these tools. But I've also heard those don't have nearly as solid SEO. I don't know. Yeah, there should be a tool that it's just hard to build a tool that's really solid like that. Medium, you could build a blog just on Medium and create a Medium channel, but it's very hard to get paid through that. Whereas it's a lot easier to monetize with the same amount of viewers on a personal blog. Anyway, Paul says, what's the best way to store emails / contacts for following? I use little embeddable things from MailChimp just to store an initial audience. Super easy on that front. You can also use a little Substack embed. If you're writing on a Substack thing, you can literally just like, it puts a little block. It says like, Max Miro, I read about this. Here's a little email sign up, and it embeds it really, really neatly. And that's all free to use on both of those tools. So that's what I would use, Paul. But yeah, cool. Awesome. So in terms of that, I don't necessarily have like a ton more questions. I super appreciate like all of this. But yeah, I'm going to be aggressively following your thing. I'm actually going to post this in the LinkedIn chat, because I want people to see the stuff that you write. But yeah, I appreciate the help on the marketing, because I am figuring it out like by far. Actually, one thing that's been really interesting, and I'm not sure if you know anything about this, but like I've been experimenting with trying to build an audience on Product Hunt. And like the best way to build an audience on Product Hunt is to post great products, like by far. But like I think that kind of audience there is like, because it's becoming kind of a social media platform. It's becoming like you can post like questions, you can post like, there's a little maker platform, you can post like, hey, here's a poll. They're making it more of a social media kind of thing. It's interesting, or at least has a social aspect. That is like possibly, at least in my head, the most unimaginably useful thing for a maker to build an audience on.
For sure.
And I would love to, I'm going to try to start publishing there aggressively, because like if you build stuff and that's your thing, building little things, if you have a really successful product, you can gain thousands of subscribers to the stuff that you build just because you built something awesome. So yeah, I'm trying to experiment there. Product Hunt is such a weird platform though.
Yeah, man. Product Hunt, if you build an audience on that, that'd be great. I have no idea how you do that. I post things on Product Hunt all the time, and I never get any traction. And so it's interesting because I don't even know. It's like a black box. It's like you post something on there and you have no idea how it works or who's voting or what, right? And so, or what makes it to the main page. And so that's why I think the guys like Ben Tossell and Bram and these guys, they can do it because they worked there. They know the magic behind it, and if you know the magic behind it, then it's pretty easy. So yeah, anyways, it's interesting. I'm gonna keep posting. Like I think I'm gonna come out with a new course soon, and I'll post it on there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's the goal is that if you can get some traction on product hunt, that's it, right? That could
you're good. Yeah,
yeah
everything you build in the future now has an audience.
yeah.
Hey, subscribe. Yeah, you got a subscriber. That's fun. What was I gonna say? There is, one thing that so I don't know if you know about this, but like hunters on Product Hunt are a huge like piece of posting a product. And have you heard about like how that kind of
No.
functions? Okay, yeah. So I did a basic little, and this might be like part of the reason. This isn't always the case. I did a bit of an investigation into Product Hunt. I read some Medium articles. I know a few people that have had successful Product Hunt launches. There are things called hunters on Product Hunt, and essentially they are just people with large followings on Product Hunt. And I'm trying to court one of them right now. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Clearly I'm doing a great job, but basically like these popular hunters, you can contact them, you can message them, you can find them on Twitter because they have their Twitter profiles linked to Product Hunt. They have somewhere like some number of thousands of followers, and when people follow them, whenever they post a product, they get a notification, right? And so there's certain hunters in certain niches that are really popular that a lot of people follow.
That makes sense, yeah.
They post it with you as like the hunter, if you've ever seen that on the little posts.
Yeah.
Those 20,000 people or however many get a notification that boosts your thing automatically. And usually it's free. You just have to like say, hey, you just have to pitch them, right? Like, hey, if this is something that you typically kind of post, would love to. You post a lot of courses. I think this course is really helpful. I've worked really hard on this. I would love some help on this, right?
That's a good point.
So I would look into that if you're just trying to build relationships with people that post similar products a lot and then post it with them. And yeah, a lot of the times they'll label themselves as like hunters.
Good idea.
That's like what I've seen. So for my next I did a tiny little Product Hunt launch, didn't go anywhere. I'm going to do another one for a little t-shirt site that I built around dead startups. And I'm going to see if I can get a hunter to hunt that. We'll see if there's any more traction there, but I'm not sure. That's just what I've seen. Yeah. So hopefully that's helpful.
Cool, man. Well, look, it was great chatting. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it was great meeting you.
Absolutely. No, I super appreciate this. Thank you so much for hopping on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, anytime. I would love to keep in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be hitting you with some questions in the future for sure. Yeah, and I'll be reading the heck out of your newsletter.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot, Max.
Absolutely. Bye.
Okay, bye.
What a cool fucking dude. Ugh. I loved it. No, yeah, I subscribed the hell out of Brett's stuff. I'm glad you did too, Aswin. I didn't suppose you wish to do the work more honestly that you do. Interesting question, Paul. One sec. I'm gonna come back to your question in a second. That was really fun for me. Because he writes the exact same them interview skills. Yeah, I was tripping all over myself the entire time. What a cool fucking like it just makes me really happy that people are down to hop on the show, because like I literally found him like a week ago, like genuinely like a week and a half ago. I can't remember even when it was, but it was very like it was not that long ago. I found him. I was just scrolling through Notion stuff on Reddit, and he was like, hey, I actually built my little thing on Notion. Here's how it looks. This is how I did it. Check it out. I checked it out just for an example in terms of like me building a little Notion project. Turns out he writes the exact same kind of shit that I do. So, and like, oh my God, his advice is perfect. Like one of the big reasons that I wanted to have him on is like, first of all, like he clearly knows like a whole lot of this kind of shit and how this functions. But second of all, like he's promoting the exact same kind of stuff that I'm promoting, right? So of course he's going to have like awesome perspectives on how to market this kind of thing. He's only been doing this for a couple of months, and he's already like way ahead of me in terms of subscribers. Well, I guess I don't know, followers, subscribers, but like dude's impressive. And so I'm going to absolutely jump way the heck on that bandwagon of Facebook groups and a little bit more aggressive promoting in that kind of space, because that's so fucking cool to me. So yeah, all right, cool. I'm going to add that to my big fat board. If anybody has any questions, hit me with them. Paul said, are there any tools that you wish you had to do the work more autonomously than you do? What work are you talking about? Because it totally depends on the work. But like some tools that I'm using to automate things, also I'm like glitching out hard. I think I've been glitching out visually for like the entire stream. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's a few things I would love to automate. I would love to automate like the invitations of people to LinkedIn events. I would love to automate the posting to YouTube and then like posting hidden videos to YouTube and then linking them elsewhere, right? Because that's a little bit annoying to upload everything and wait for that to happen. Mostly like for most stuff, it's like a virtual assistant. You can hire somebody to just do it for you. Usually if it's not complicated work, you don't have to pay a ton of money. But yeah, so like I might hire Joe a little bit to my editor he's living life down in Florida right now to like edit to do stuff like that for me, right? Like having him virtual assistant seems like the way for most stuff. There are different ways though. Like for instance, one of my friends, Finn, he creates these little he creates Instagram profiles around books. It's really interesting. Like he created one for The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And he essentially just took a bunch of quotes and he put them on little picture posts and he made them look really nice. And he posts those every day regularly, right? And anybody that likes those books follows those accounts, right? And he automated that entire process by using Buffer, first of all, to schedule all of the posts, right? But then he made his own little, and you don't need to do this, but he made his own little program to create little picture posts for each of these quotes, right, in this certain format. And you can actually use a program called Banner Bear for that, and I actually might do this in the future. Banner Bear. This is super, super cool. Image generation API. This is exactly what I was looking for forever, right? So you, is a simple REST API that auto-generates social media visuals, e-commerce banners, and more, right? So if I want to create a picture, I wish they gave me an example, and it integrates with a few really, really awesome little things. If I want to create a picture, like this, right? Like Manuka Honey Worth the Hype, right? Powered by Castmaster, little waveform, Bear Grylls podcast, something like that, right? And I'd like a URL, like all of these are like create these images based on a few little inputs. It creates the image, right? All I have to do is set up the design, and that's it, essentially, right? I set up the design, and then I plug in the little things each time. You can actually connect this to Airtable. I can Airtable it, and yeah, like all I have to do is make a little format, and upload little pictures here and there, and it automatically puts it into into a structure that you have designed, right? Fascinating. You design the template in Banner Bear, you import the data with Airtable. It's unbelievably simple, and you can just make a giant sheet of like all these different little quotes, right? And then set up the little design, and it would just export all these different pictures. You don't have to hand make any of them, and then you can just pump like hundreds of them into Buffer, right, to create this kind of thing. So it depends on what you're automating. It's that's why no code is really nice. It's usually designed for automation. Airtable is really good for that kind of stuff when it comes to data management. Banner Bear solves a very, very specific type of problem, right? Like it's very, very specifically creating social media shareable things. I'm sure you could use it in different ways, but yeah. So, but yeah. That was a lot of fun. I'm really, really glad that I got to interview him. And holy crap, that's some great fucking marketing advice. Oh, shit. So I have some stuff to get on. Yeah, for sure. I have some stuff to jump into right now. But that's another part of the launch. That is another big part of the launch. So, I might actually, one of the things that we might do, I'm still hitting puberty. Pardon me for my voice crack. One of the things we might do that I thought about recently is just build a really quick online course. I'm great at filming videos. It doesn't take me that long. And we could just do a little kind of screen share for like half an hour of content. I'll film it all, and I won't like show everybody the filming process. That's a little boring. But 20x you're following on yeah. Fucking kidding. That would be amazing. There's so much we could do with more followers, dude. Like, I feel like I've been working on this content for 2 whole years, and I'm really, really proud of where it's gotten to. There's so much fun stuff we can do with more followers. So I'm aggressively in the next 3 months. The entire goal of my life is just to build the following up on the stuff that I'm doing here on Entrepreneur. So get ready for hopefully more cool people. And I appreciate everybody that's been sticking with me thus far. What was I gonna say? I'm going to be running ads. That'll be really fun. We might just make that's what I was going to say. We might just make a course, a little online course, and just see if it gets anywhere for around AngelList and Product Hunt, right? Because those are now connected, right? AngelList and Product Hunt are under the same umbrella. AngelList owns Product Hunt now. Product Hunt is now its own little social media bit, right? I can give advice on how Product Hunt functions and how to build followings on Product Hunt, little niche ways that I was discussing before, but also how to post products using hunters and things like that. And I can go over that. That's really helpful on Product Hunt. That's valuable. Second, on AngelList, I have not cracked it by any means, but I can at least show that it is possible to build a following and that little hack. Remember early on, I'm not sure if you were there, Paul, but early on, we had a little hack where you can actually add people directly on AngelList, even if you're not connected to them or have any mutual connections. You find their email, you add it to your Gmail, you connect your Gmail to AngelList, and it adds them as a connection, right? So you can actually automate the process of like connecting with these really high-powered people on AngelList. So those are a few little tricks that I feel like I've learned and I think are really cool, and I can add to a little online course, like a little half-hour online course. I'm going to publish it on something like Teachable or Thinkific, right? Something super simple. And then we'll see if we can sell that, right? For like $5. Some really simple little thing, right? An introduction to hacking, AngelList, and Product Hunt. We'll publish that. We'll see where it goes. I feel like that's going to be one of my big things. Past connection sent me AngelList, and I was blown away at the projects I could make for people there. Dope trick, I'll have to use that. Yeah. So, what kind of projects are you? What do you mean, Paul? Because like AngelList is super under fucking utilized. It's super powerful for recruiting. It's super powerful for everything in the startup and tech realm. And for finding co-founders, I've actually heard it's really useful. It's like the best place in the world to find co-founders, which is crazy. That's so fucking cool. That's like a problem that has not been solved for years. Nobody's done it well. So I like in terms of finding co-founders, huge, awesome place to be. Yeah. So past connection sent me AngelList. I was blown away at the project I could build for people there. What do you mean by projects? So in terms of finding co-founders, if you want to build it, if you want to find anything, especially like technical co-founders, I've heard people find technical co-founders, but you would probably be the technical co-founder if you were building something, Paul. Regardless, business people are on it, technical people are on it. It's like the place that people find other awesome people. So I know in tech. Would highly recommend using it. I need to hack it more. For software and AI consulting. That's really cool, dude. That's really fucking cool. So you found actual work there. That's really sick. I didn't even know you could do that kind of stuff. That's awesome. And I guess that's under job applications. Where did you find that on the platform? I'm curious. Now I want to look. Now I want to peek. AngelList. I ate so much fucking ramen last night, and I woke up with such a stomach ache. I do this to myself. This is my own fault. Whoops. So I'm still like 44 connections. Connections into maybe rough. Interesting. Okay, cool. So you just networked with people and found connections on AngelList, and they just connected with you. That's really cool. And then you talked to them there. So you just built an awesome network for like helping people with stuff. That's so cool. Yeah. So you just go to jobs, from what I've seen, and job search, right? Content creator. I put in content creator. I put in contract work. I put in North America as my little thing. We scroll down, and there's just opportunities for content managers, right? Growth hackers, singer, live streaming. I can sing. No, I can't. This is so cool. Social media manager, content strategist, and SEO specialist, Philadelphia. Remote possible. Bilingual content manager, article content writer, no. Content writer, no. Chief storyteller. This is actually kind of cool. Chief storyteller looks really fun. But like, there's some really awesome job listings on here, and you can use it to recruit as well. So you scroll up to the top, click recruit, post your own job stuff. Actually, our good friend Cameron Stack posted his own little thing here, and I was able to find it, right? Because I was connected to him, I think. But people found it, right? And maybe it's done now, so maybe he found somebody. I don't know. But check this out. Look at this. You can just scroll through over 1 million candidates. In just general everything. That's awesome. Their LinkedIn resume is connected right there for you to check out, right? And you can sort the heck out of it. This is probably like the best, like the largest goddamn thing. Their main thing is job searching at this point, right? Their main thing is funding and job searching, but it seems like job searching is the biggest thing. We looked at the stats. The funding, great. Really awesome stuff. I think they did $500 million overall. But like, given they've been alive for like 15 or something years or something, not that much, right? From like 1,000 startups. 1,000 startups have raised a significant amount of money through them. That's not that many. That's a lot. That's awesome. That's a really, really powerful funding source. I'm not discrediting that. But given how many people they've actually hired, it's insane. They've hired like hundreds of thousands of people. So it's a really powerful hiring platform. And so that's like just great to know. Great to know. It'd be like that, right? So I still have to fix up my AngelList account because I still have my high school project on there, which is lame. So, very cool. Very, very cool. That's all I got for y'all. I appreciate y'all hopping on. That was really, really great. We're going to get to marketing aggressively. We're probably going to do a whole stream on marketing my live stream a little bit more aggressively. But yeah, I initially did it and we looked at like product time. We looked at AngelList. We looked at a bunch of different little things and whatever. But like I didn't nearly do it hard enough. So we're going to be setting up ads. We're going to be setting up a bunch of things in the next couple of months around advertising my kind of stuff based on what Brett has advised. So thank you, Brett. You're awesome. It was super great having you on the show. If you see this, so what a great dude. What a great fucking guy. I met him a week ago. I emailed him. I was just like, hey, would you be down to come on the show? And he's like, sure. And I like, fuck, no, great dude. God damn it. Makes me happy. I love people like that. Cool. Awesome. Awesome possum. I hope everybody has a great day. I'll see you on the weekend. We'll be playing some more Dark Sales and goofing off. And I'm going to have a bunch of ideas because I've had a bunch of ideas floating around in my head for this week because a bunch of stuff is happening. So hopefully all is well. Stay safe. I know the world is literally exploding right now. So I'll talk to y'all soon. Thank you for hopping on. Boop. I'm just going to end the little Zoom call. I still left it on. That's embarrassing. Cool. I'll see you later.